Hello, you lovely people. It is your boy, Roll of a Queen, and I am joined by my lovely, scrumptious, delicious, sexy, and handsome homeboy. And as always, we are the Comics Code 30 podcast. Elvis, please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Elvis. I'm back here again. We're going to be talking about, I guess, two different WB releases. One is an ongoing failure with WB right now, and the other is possibly the only thing keeping this company from going bankrupt, which it should. It should go bankrupt. How about you?
Yeah, man, I'm doing good, and yeah, I'm excited to talk about yeah, that said movie and the other movie, which I can't wait to talk to. By the way, we are going to be doing a live review of a different part of the movie. Once we're done with that other movie. But yeah, let's not waste any more time, man. We don't have to set this up. We're fucking talking about Blue Beetle. So me and Elvis were talking a little earlier, but let's just jump right into the conversation. So let's do initial thoughts first. Just initial thoughts. Let's get that out the way.
All right.
Elvis, initial thoughts.
I liked it. I think it's a fine movie. It's a solid like 7 out of 10. It's decent. It's okay. It's good. Um, but is it worth all the hubbub? And I've heard a lot of hubbub. I've heard like, oh man, this is what the DC needs. This is what the DCU needs. This is what DC movies should have always been. I'm gonna have to say no. But we'll get into that more later. But it's a fun movie, and I wish I could have seen it on Max.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. I'm giving it a I'm giving it 7.5. I thought it was fun. I thought it was simple. And we've spoken a lot about Shazam. That's one of the main reasons why I enjoyed Shazam because it was fun. It was simple. It wasn't doing too much. You got A, B, C, D, and that's it. And I think we've missed that in a lot of the superhero movies and superhero TV shows. Everything has to be super confuzzled. But no,
Yes.
this was very bare bones.
But it's
Um,
good. Oh, I think bare bones is what you need for comic book movies. I think
exactly.
I feel like while I love Man of Steel and BBS, I feel like there was ways of making those more streamlined
Hmm.
that would have, I think, elevated those movies with like everyone like that. If I honestly, I think sorry, I think Man of Steel is a masterpiece, but I feel like, really fine tune it, really hone in on the themes, like even further than it already is, and you have like a timeless experience there. Something like Blue Beetle, I think, is definitely on the right track. Yes.
Yeah, I agree. It's on the right track. Excuse me. Obviously they made some changes from the comic books. More specifically, Jaime, two of Jaime's homies. This was more like Blue Beetle and the family, where I
Yeah.
would have just preferred, like it is in the comic books. It's just like it's more basically Blue Beetle, and then you have the two homies, as the B characters. I like the family aspect of it. I think that gave it a lot of heart. And again, I think I enjoy when these movies have heart. That's why I enjoyed Shazam a lot. And that's why I enjoyed Aquaman, to an extent as well. But you know, I think it was too much of Blue Beetle and the family.
Right.
But versus it just being Blue Beetle. I think the film aspect was cool, and I like that a lot. And it's definitely a breath of fresh air from the Flash for sure. And a lot of the other movies. But that's my only real thing. And yeah, we were talking about this earlier off stream. But yeah, James Gunn has made comments saying, "Oh, this is the beginning of the new DCU." We need to be honest. That's not what this is. This is
No,
James Gunn just saving his ass.
this is
Um,
definitely more part of the DCEU. This is part of like that whole. Okay, we need to course correct, and so
yes.
yeah. And I feel like it plays better in that way, and I feel like watching them, like, why are they rebooting? You know, like why are they rebooting? We need more movies like this, more solid, simple movies, more low budget movies. I feel like
Hmm.
Blue Beetle could have been a template on how to move forward, and I feel like
Yes.
something like Superman Legacy and all the stuff that James Gunn has planned is like 5 steps back.
100%. Because this did not feel like a rebooted universe at all. Like there
It
was
felt lived in, but in a way that was focused, you know?
Exactly. And I wouldn't be mad if this is where we continue off of, because we have the mess from before, but at least if you say this is a soft reboot, and I'm
Right.
saying, okay, we're everything that happened, the previous movies happened, but let's just take Blue Beetle as the blueprint and we can move forward from here. Natural progression. But no, this doesn't feel like a new universe. This doesn't feel like a new universe at all. Like it just feels like a regular, straightforward DCU movie, which is great in itself. But don't sit there and lie to me and tell me it's part of a new universe. It's not. Like, and that Elvis, you had some great thoughts about, why that may be. Just so James Gunn could save his ass, so it doesn't look like he's racist or whatever. Because
Exactly, because I feel like the movie itself, again, has been very promoted as like this Latino experience. People have been calling it, jokingly. I don't want to step on anyone's toes here. I'm not saying this
Mhm.
seriously, but people are saying this joking like it's the, Latino Black Panther, and the movie definitely has that kind of core where it's trying to be about communities, trying to be about
Yeah,
the culture, and some parts are really, really fun. I think that it definitely wears it on its sleeve, and I appreciate that spirit. But I feel like that's the only reason why James Gunn is saying like, "Oh yeah, no, don't worry about it." Because if he did otherwise, it would feel like he is stepping on the toes of like this of the
exactly.
experience, And I feel like one good comparison is a lot of people have been complaining about DC. I'm sorry, about the MCU not doing like minority and other demographic characters and movies until way later in the game. Like we're like in phase 5, but at, like
Hmm.
9, 10 years later down the line, that we're doing like, Black Widow, Black Panther 1 and 2, Shang
Hmm.
Chi, all of that, right? And I feel like they're half right. The MCU should have done those kinds of movies earlier, but like around Guardians of the Galaxy's time,
Yeah,
when you're like 4 years in and you have like a successful foundation. You
yeah,
had Avengers 1, 2. You had all like basically all the original lineups and their sequels already down the bank. You had that rock foundation where you could start doing like little weird stuff. And I don't mean weird in
yeah,
a bad way. I mean like one-off things that that you could take risks with. And that's when they should have started doing like Shang-Chi, Black Widow,
yeah,
all that stuff. Black Panther should have been like right then. You should
yeah.
it should have been like a spin-off of Civil War. Okay. That's some bullshit, but whatever. It should have been right after, Avengers 2. Um, but and so I feel like Blue Beetle works best in that context where like you need like a great foundation of Blue Beetle. You can't start with Blue Beetle and you can't end with Blue Beetle.
No.
Blue Beetle needs to be like right in the middle after you've done all the legwork. So
Hmm.
I feel like a Blue Beetle is always gonna be weird. Like, oh, if it really is the first DC movie of the new like era, then that's a huge mistake.
Oh, it most definitely is, because it's like there's nothing here that feels new, universal e.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say that right. It doesn't feel like, it just feels like, oh, this universe is already established and we're just slapping you in.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, and again, like in a perfect world, let's just say things did work a little bit better, with the Snyderverse and all that stuff. Right when you got the ball rolling, okay, everybody's excited, everybody feels good. Yeah, I agree with you. Let's put it here because the legwork is there. The Justice League, we know who they are, we know who this is, we know what the overarching story is.
Right.
Then we could put the Blue Beetle in and let's see how he works in this world.
Yeah,
But here,
and you build up like the secondary, DC universe, because it mentions like Blue Beetle, Dan Garrett. There's
mhm,
like there's a tease toward Martian Manhunter and Booster Gold. You know, it's a good way to like, you know, subtly, not forcefully, bring up the universe a little bit.
yeah.
That these other movies don't.
And I also think a lot of it too is just like this movie took so fucking long to come out, so it unfortunately ended where it ended. Like maybe if this movie came out, this movie's been in the pipeline for God knows how long. This is like either before COVID or after, but yeah, it's just like everything got shifted and then boom, it just so happened to end right after the Flash came out,
Right.
when we already knew the universe was rebooted, even though they did a very terrible job of showcasing that. And it's just like, oh, bam, boom. It's the second to last movie of the universe. You already told the audience the universe is being rebooted, and now you're backtracking and saying this is the no. It's in a bad spot because I'll be honest. I'm not mad if somebody did not go watch this.
Me
Same way
neither.
I'm not mad at people who didn't go watch The Flash. It's like you already put out all this information out there to make the audience like, well, I guess it's not worth it. Obviously the people who are fans of Blue Beetle will go out and support it. People who want to see this character thrive and want to see this own little pocket universe of the DCU thrive. But you shot yourself in the foot, buddy. You shot yourself in the foot.
Right.
And we were talking about it earlier. Like, I can see a potential future where we may not get a Blue Beetle 2, but we get Blue Beetle in the universe, whether
Right.
it's an
Exactly.
ensemble movie or
Or
Blue Beetle
cameo.
will make a cameo. Yeah, but it sucks because it's like I can't see WB doing another Blue Beetle movie right away or
Ever.
ever. Like you already positioned it in a bad spot because at this point,
Like let's say they remake Blue Beetle. I feel like there's so much writing on this one. There's been like, especially if you have your CEO or co-CEO, whatever position is, saying like, yeah, I know this is part of it. It's gonna look bad. So you just
yeah,
and I feel like that really does screw it. It, it, and why reboot? I'm sorry, but like this, especially with you look in Aquaman coming out and like and that I know you were saying that you said before we start recording you don't have to look at the trailer, but the teaser, at least for the trailer, looks phenomenal. Okay,
okay,
it looks like it's still like I was okay on Aquaman 1, but there are some parts of that movie that were undeniably like Juan and the team working on Top Gear, and this feels like it's going to carry forward those parts, those things that were really like working at that level, at that care, at that effort. Why not just continue the stuff that's working? I don't understand. I really do not. It makes no sense. I think that they're heading toward disaster, and I feel like Blue Beetle was unfairly caught in the crossfires. And I feel sorry for people that really do love this movie. Again, I think it's fine. I think it's okay. I'm not gonna be sad they make Blue Beetle 2. I'm not that invested with it. Um, but those that really do love it, they deserved better.
yeah, they absolutely did. Say, and I'll put this in the camp of Shazam as well. Like
Right.
Shazam deserved better. This deserved better,
Aquaman
and
deserved better because what it, and you cannot make me believe that Juan did not want a trilogy.
oh, absolutely, I believe that 100%. 100%, I believe in one of the trilogy.
Everyone
And
wants one. Everyone wants one. So it's insane that they are throwing away the baby with the bathwater. You know.
and you know what? I mentioned it. Well, we both mentioned it earlier. Why not just go ahead and put Blue Beetle in the Elseworlds as well? Like
Yeah.
Batman, obviously, it's his own little pocket thing, and it's just going to be its own little pocket universe, and people are going to enjoy it. You might as well just should have thrown this on Max,
Yeah.
and it would
Well, yeah.
have performed better
We
on
were saying
Max.
that. Yeah. We're saying that like, should this have been bumped up to an actual release? And we both said no because
Mm-mm.
I feel like it plays better as its own solitary thing. And with Max, there are lower thresholds. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like you know more people would have seen it. More people have been interested in seeing it because it's with their subscription, and
Yes.
and like saying, hey, this movie like dropped 60% and only made like 30 million this week, sounds way worse than saying, hey, it's the most watched thing on Max.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I think honestly, putting things on Max is what helped Suicide Squad. I know you're not the biggest fan of it,
I
but
hate that
I
movie, but
think
yes, I agree.
yeah, I think putting it on there, that's exactly why, because it's like, well, it's the conversation, and then you could just go and watch it, boom, right there. You're home, you're comfortable, you don't got to go outside, and then
Yeah, I watched it the day it dropped, and that's a fact.
yeah, so and then you do the same for Blue Beetle, but unfortunately, like there was just so many odds stacked against it, like boom, you got the writer strike that's here. Boom, you got all the talks about the new universe. Boom, movie theaters or the movie industry isn't doing so hot right now in general. So it's like you should have just bit the bullet and you would have had more return if you just put it on Max. We all would have watched it. We all did. I'll be honest. Well, again, I'm not that big of a channel, dude. Me and Elvis watched this shit on bootleg, man. We
Mm,
watched it on bootleg.
mhm.
Like, we're both busy men, and it just made more sense because I in the
Yeah,
back of my mind, I
I, I
knew.
I did buy a ticket, but I'm not gonna go sit and watch this in theaters. Honestly, I bought a
Yeah,
ticket,
no,
but like I did watch it on like same thing. I did the same thing with Shazam. I bought a ticket. That's as much as I can do. But it's not gonna. There are some movie experiences that especially post COVID.
yeah,
If I'm gonna be like in a theater trapped with like hundreds or dozens of people, it's gotta be something that it's worth risking that for. It's
yeah,
gotta be
bro.
something big. It's gotta be something special. Which like our next movie,
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. I was just listening to our old episodes, and you were talking about I forgot
Candyman.
what movie it was.
Candyman.
Yeah, you said it was more scary that you heard somebody coughing in the bootleg
Exactly.
than
No, what?
that.
Yeah, no, because that movie had so many good ideas. It was so boring, and every once in a while I heard like, like, dude, like I'm so glad I'm not there. It's like that's my only thought.
No, but for real, just like I don't know, and in the back of my mind, and I hate to say, and this is not to disrespect, the Latino community or the superhero movie franchise in general, or fans of Blue Beetle. I knew this movie was gonna be in a bad spot. The writing was on the wall.
It
There
was.
was no way, no fucking way. Um, so it sucks, but I hope. Well, obviously, we're not gonna see Blue Beetle for a long time because there's obviously, you know, we have a whole slew of movies that's gonna come out after this. But I hope in the meantime, well, I think Elvis said it best. He said he hopes in the meantime, Homeboy who plays Blue Beetle,
Yeah,
he needs to thrive after
yeah,
this.
yeah. Zolo, Mariduena. Obviously, everyone knows him from his breakout role in Cobra Kai, but he's had like a pretty interesting career. Like he was, I believe, in Twin Peaks. Yeah, season 3 of Twin Peaks. He worked with David Lynch. He was in the the spotlight episode, like the episode of Twin Peaks that everyone loves. And I feel like he's worked with prestigious indie directors. He's
Mm-hmm.
he's he's been in this in like a popular teen soap opera slash action show. He's been he's spotlighted a big blockbuster superhero movie. Like let's move him forward. Let's get it. Like he has a good base. He has a good base going, and I feel like if they do make Blue Beetle 2, I hope he's too much for him. I hope that
Yeah,
he doesn't need it.
yeah. And I said this also, was like, yo, I'm not mad if he's mad or just like disgruntled that, hey, bro, you put my movie in a compromising spot.
Yeah,
This is compromising. So again, I wish him the best. But let's delve a little bit, into the movie, into the story, because like I said before, it's very like basic. But
yeah.
again, basic
It
is not a bad
No,
thing.
no, basic is not bad. I know we use words like generic but it is more safe. Like it is everything that
Yes.
you've seen in a superhero movie before, especially more recent ones. It felt very much like Shazam or Ant-Man. It had a lot of elements that were very similar to that. Um, and I feel like there wasn't enough that made it stand out. And one of the things that I said to Euro before we started recording
Mm-hmm.
was that they don't use enough from the comics, and you mentioned this as well. They don't use enough from the comics. It felt almost in name only at times. They
Yeah.
really stripped a lot from the comics out, and they didn't keep enough in to make it like. And that's fine. You don't need to be faithful. I love the Venom movies, and the Venom movies do not have any Spider-Man at all
Mm-hmm.
in them. So like you can do that, and it'll be fine. But the Venom movies are also very safe and also very uh,
Yeah.
cliche at times. So yeah, I'm not going to go to bat for them as masterpieces, and I won't go to bat for this as a masterpiece either. Um, and I feel like that's also a thing where people are now saying, "Oh, people only want interesting or like things they're never going to see before in a superhero movie." And I don't, and that's one of the things I don't think made this a good idea for a theatrical release because it is so simple. And
Yeah.
um, and I feel like we mentioned this. One thing that it takes from Shazam a lot is the whole family aspect. Because of course, in the comics, Jaime's family is a very important part of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're great supporting cast, they're secondary characters, but they are put to the forefront too much here. And I feel like they do become overbearing. They do become a little bit annoying. There are some characters that have great interactions, great dynamics with Jaime, and the actors really do pop up against each other. But I think that does get in the way of Jaime's own arc, and it does feel
Yeah,
repetitive. Like they keep talking about family, 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 family. Like this is not a Fast and Furious movie. Okay, I don't hear. I
it's
don't need.
not.
I don't need to hear the word family 50,000 times. Okay, we get it. We get it now. It's hard to like. At the end of the movie, I was wondering who Jaime is outside of his family. I
Yeah.
don't think we learned that. Like even in Shazam, right? Family is such a big part of that, but we know who Billy is outside of that. We spend time with
Yep.
him. We get he himself does not define himself by his family, but you get that's what makes that development and that bond like really grow.
Hmm.
I feel like it feels like a sitcom level plot.
I if they really wanted to go with a family route, I think they could have kept, Brenda and Paco, which is like the two friends. I think they could have kept them there, and they could have played off of each other, just the three of them, and without even having to say it, you could get the family vibe
Right,
versus
exactly.
them just throwing family in your face. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Because there's such like
exactly.
crucial parts, of his story, and they help him grow. But then it's like there's like you got the sister, you got the grandma, you got the uncle, and you got it's too many characters bouncing off each other.
And they keep vying for screen time. But near the end, I'm like, why are we? Why are they all going? Why are they all getting these things to do? And like,
Yeah,
and it just feels overstuffed. And I get it; it's fun, it's light, but I want to see Jaime come into his own, and it doesn't feel like he does in a way
yeah.
that is very impactful. Like at the end of the movie, like I'm just kind of like, okay, cool. Now we're gonna get Jaime say this thing, and like, okay, but I'm not getting the impact of it, and that's not, Zolo is doing a great job. Again, the actor's
Hmm.
doing a great job. I just think the movie is very muddled. It's overstuffed a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm reading the current Blue Beetle comic books right now. I didn't read the Kieran Giffen one, but I will at some point. But even then, in this new series, like I feel like I'm getting Jaime and Kajida because those are like the two main ones. I feel like we didn't get enough of Jaime working with Kajida. Like it just felt like
Exactly.
more just like
I forgot
Jaime.
that. I forgot that the. I honestly forgot that the beetle was sentient. Honestly,
Exactly. Like it felt like Jaime and Kajida like a little bit versus like Jaime just having to deal with the family and then they're dealing, with the threat. And it's not supposed to be like that. And I think if you just given us a little bit more of that and then you just strip down the supporting cast just a tiny bit, this is what takes this from like a 7.5 to I would say damn near like an 8 or a 9 because you're keeping the core elements of the character, you're still giving us, the family or just like, growing pains vibe that we all know and love. And you're just telling us a solid story because you can still have it be basic, but you're still giving us the core. And then boom. But again, I think they took a little bit, maybe, I don't know if they took from Shazam or maybe they just took too much of the right lessons from Shazam to the point where it hindered it. So if there is a number two, which will not be for a while, yeah, let's give me more of that. Give me more of that. The family could still be here, but let them be more in the background, like the comics. Not to say they can't be in the movie. I'm not
exactly,
saying
exactly. No,
strip them
like
completely.
exactly. I feel like you have to use them well, and this movie used them too much.
Yeah,
And like even like the romance stuff felt very very suffocated. Because again,
yeah.
like Zolo and let me get this actress's name right. I think I never heard before. Let's see.
I'm looking up the cast
Bruna
right now.
Bruna Marquezine, right? Bruna Marquezine. Um, they have great chemistry. Like
Oh my god.
there is sexual tension, romantic tension off the wazoo of them. It's fantastic.
Hmm.
But I feel like that's the only thing keeping that afloat. It feels very like point. When I feel like
Yeah,
by cutting down on stuff would have given them more time to flourish. It does feel like
yeah.
we're getting very vignette. We're getting like montages of what characters are meant. Everything, everyone's just saying a line to get to the next beat.
Hmm.
Um, and that's a shame. I feel like the movie felt both kind of long, but also really short because of this. Because we're getting scenes that don't amount to much, taking a
Mm-hmm.
long time, and the scenes that do mean a lot, just not getting enough room to breathe. So you have that kind of interacting forces.
Yeah,
And I
and
felt
then
I felt the same way about like say Venom 2.
mhm.
You know, so like again, I like Venom 2. I like both these movies. They're both very simple, but they also have character stuff that just doesn't breathe enough.
Yeah, and, like the stuff with his dad, like I feel like that was like come and go.
Yeah, I
It
know.
was a little bit too come and go for me.
I feel like the the scene in like and the spoiler in the scene in like uh the mindscape near the end, like that was such a hard hitting scene. Like I was,
Hmm.
tears. I was tearing up really bad. But who the fuck was his dad?
Yeah, it's exactly very come and go. Very come and go. Like he was. I feel like we only got like this may be even me lowballing it. Maybe like 20 minutes with Homeboy, man. Maybe I'll maybe even like 30. Like he wasn't there, and again, that has a lot to do with just like the so much of the supporting cast. It's like we didn't get enough time to really like delve in with that. And he just
Exactly.
came. There was like that really great
Very
emotional beat in the minds,
perfunctory.
but then he's gone. So I'm just like, ugh. But
Wish we had more of the stuff that mattered. Let's just say that.
yeah, and maybe I'll even say maybe it would have benefited from like a couple more minutes. If we could just a couple
No,
more minutes just to like explore that.
shave some time off the grandmother and the sister and give it to the dad.
Yeah,
Okay,
boom, boom. But
like
how oh no, but go ahead. Continue because
did,
I had a follow up question.
did we have to have like two different scenes of the grandmother saying, "Oh, I did stuff in the past"? No, it's a one
No,
time
we
joke.
no.
Okay, do it once. You don't need to do it twice.
And you know what? It's the shit like that that makes me think you should just put it on Max.
Exactly.
I think this would have hit. If you want, fine. Let's keep this movie as is. Let's keep it. Let's not change a damn thing.
Max is
Put
better.
it on Max. This works. This works completely. Okay, fine. You're deviating a little bit, but this feels more like a ABC family Disney Channel vibe type movie. You know what I'm saying? Very
Exactly.
family oriented, and it works better on Max. But certain things, bro, you didn't have to bump up the budget. You didn't have to do it, and then you can put this on Max and it works. But if I'm talking grand scale, you're trying to get these characters out there, you're trying to make a name for it. It didn't work. And that brings us to my next thing. Victoria Cord wasn't working for me too much.
A horrible villain. Uninteresting, boring. I love Susan Sarandon. Susan Sarandon is fantastic. Terrible performance because of bland ass writing. Like again,
Very bland.
I like the movie, but like the villains are so underdeveloped. I think Carapax is insulting. Like oh let's just have like a montage at the end for like 10 seconds. Just give him a just to give him a tragic backstory. Like build that more. Like I get it. Like they see that he like oh he does like oh I knew what they were doing to do the moment at the party where they were like, "Oh, don't worry, we I got him during like the during like the communist raids in South America." Like, oh, I get it. He's gonna be a kid. He's gonna be like orphan kid from then. I understand. I could guess it from then. Play into that more, because at the end it just feels insulting. It feels insulting to me as a viewer, and like, okay, let's just explain it so bluntly at the end.
I I wouldn't have been mad because you know how we got the montage of those scenes.
Yeah,
Split that up across the movie,
right,
starting from
exactly.
the beginning. So give us a little bit of give us something in the middle, in the beginning.
Like
Give us
every
something in the middle.
like every
Give us
time he
something in
act
the back.
like how about this? Every time he activates his powers, we get one little snippet because I went about that montage. It's playing in reverse,
Yes.
Like so. I feel like he's unlocking more every time he
Mhm.
uses his powers, like something like that, something interesting like that. And I feel like it just feels too cheap at the end to have it like oh he's like they're connecting. Oh, he sees it. Oh, it feels too cheap.
Yeah, it's like, and because here's the thing, like when you take those three, when you break up the montage in those ways, it doesn't feel cheap. But the way they did it is just like, oh shit, guys,
We
we
got in
forgot
this.
to explain this character. Let's just explain it real quick.
Let's
But
do
at
that.
that point of the movie,
Yeah,
I kind of don't give a shit.
exactly. Like
I don't.
we like let's wrap it up. That's how it felt.
Yeah, and that's a disservice to the actor and the character as well. Because I just finished watching fucking Mayans on FX. He is fucking great on Mayans. Like he deserved so
But
much more here.
like he has presence. He has presence.
Yeah.
I just I do not like the way he was used. I don't like the way the character was used or implemented at all. I felt like it was really boring to have this kind of character. Now let me break it down. I know every character, every superhero movie usually has to have like a oh let it's the protagonist versus their mirror image. I don't mind
Mm-hmm.
that. I think that's fine. I like it actually. I think it's and I think it always hits because it's really good to have like that parallel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think this is probably the one of the worst aspects of it because they don't go far enough, Like like Carapax is not it's not a fun or cool version of that. Like even Venom, you had like Venom versus Riot. And I like
Mm-hmm.
that because like Venom is like a guy who's very goopy, and then Riot is like, oh, he makes like sliced edged, sharp things with his
Mm-hmm.
tentacles. Like it's fun, it's a wrinkle. And Riot is more of like a dominating kind of like asshole. And it's great. Or like Superman versus Zod, or Iron Man versus Ironmonger. There are things that make those characters interesting and fun, so that when they clash, there's energy behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Carapax is like, what if this guy, beat like a really dumb looking, robot? Um, and like, and reason why I don't like that a lot because one, uh, it's a disservice because I think like the way he looks at the end should have been the way he looked at the entire fucking movie. Right?
Exactly.
I feel like the excuse they do is very bland, and they need to do it. But two, they keep calling him Omac, and I feel like if you're gonna put in Omac, one, I hate
Mm,
Infinite Crisis Omacs. I do. I don't like him. I hate that they're always a thing. But if you're gonna do that, then make him an Infinite Crisis Omac.
mm-hmm.
Do that stuff in the comic. I know it probably would have been. I probably would have looked worse. They probably didn't think they could do it like on the TV show budget, but you know, at least still try. Like
Yeah.
do like the Infinite Crisis Omax are like really cool, kind of like nanite android machine
Mm-hmm.
monsters. Let's do something like that. Like that'd be really cool. And then, but no, it's just like here's Jaime that can use nano machines, and here's this guy that's in a lumbering mechanical suit that's barely working.
Yeah.
It's not
And
interesting.
um first of all, I didn't like the suit at all, especially towards the end. Like it was a little bit too distracting. And second of all, you know what I think they could have done? You know how like Jaime is all about like family and stuff.
Yeah.
You know how they want him to be the opposite? Fine. Play off of that. Jaime has his family, you don't have yours, and that's when you go more into the backstory. So it's really like he's facing the mirror image of himself. Because
Right.
you got the bare bones right there. It's right there. Fucking use it. Fucking use it.
Agreed.
But yeah, and I personally think they could have done the Infinite Crisis Omen. I think even with the budget, I think they could have done like obviously would have not looked the same, but I think they could have made it work. I
Yeah.
think so.
And they would have made like the stakes higher.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, really? She thinks this is gonna be like the revolutionary like tide of war? Like
Mm-hmm.
he just has like machine guns for hands, and that's it. That's all this guy can do, really. Um, like oh wait, in order to get it to work, they had to like chop off like two of his hands and like one arm. Like it's not like this guy can barely walk around without being in pain. Like it's just not threatening.
It's not. It's really not. I felt and I don't know. It felt very generic. Honestly, like I know, like we said, basic and generic is not like a bad thing, but in this case, it did. And then you got to throw on top of the fact it's just like how lazy that they just how lazy they did it. So it's like I know like he snatched away Victoria Cord and like in the end, but
But you don't
I
even
don't
see
know.
him explode. You don't even see him explode. You don't even see him explode. I felt really cheap. I felt
Yeah,
cheated. Like at least show us them exploding.
but nope. And maybe they're trying to set up for a potential Blue Beetle number two, but honestly, they did it so badly in the first one. I kind of don't want to see either of them back because the legwork wasn't there. It wasn't there at all. Um, but yeah, I don't know, but overall, actually no, let me backtrack a little bit. honestly, if they were to use the Infinite Crisis OMAC, I think that would have been a. If this really was the reboot, I think that would have been like a kind of a good start to a new universe because at least you're throwing it out there, you're like planting the seeds, and maybe they can revisit this. I think that's one way they could have set it up if this was quote unquote truly a new universe. If
Right.
so, if so,
Another thing why I don't like that because like does this mean like we're never gonna get like a real OMAC? You know, like classic OMAC? Because like how do you even do that after doing this? That's why I hate them using that.
at this point, if we do, it's gonna be a long time
Yeah,
because there's no way they're gonna do it back to back. Absolutely not. Because
exactly. That's why I dislike the idea of like all these movies having to be in the same universe. You know?
yeah. So I doubt it. But who knows? Because it's like again, we just said, we know this is not part of the U universe. So again, you take this potentially big thing and you slapped it in the penultimate movie of a universe. Why would we give a shit if you brought it back?
Right.
Why? So I don't know. And now I guess we could kind of just go into the conversation of like the future. I said this before we recorded. Yo, the reason why I don't think we're gonna see this Blue Beetle in any fashion anytime soon is because one, this movie underperformed. Like I know it almost reached like the 100 million spot, but at the end of the day it underperformed. And yes, we like to say James Gunn likes to talk himself as, yeah, I'm the big guy of the universe. At the end of the day, it's the big guys upstairs that make the call. This movie did not perform. They're not bringing this character back for a while, if ever, if ever. So I would love to see a potential where this guy could come back and get like a round two because he does deserve it. But I think it's curtains for Blue Beetle right now. I think we won't see Blue Beetle for like another 10 years or maybe 5 if I'm being nice. What about you?
I'm gonna think. I think again. I'll stand by if I see him in like cameos or like team movies, but that's it.
Yeah. So I'm not holding my breath. But overall, like I said before, I thought it was good. I enjoyed watching it from home. Like, you know, I can only imagine how dope it would have been if I could actually, watch it HD on Max.
Yeah. I again on Max.
Yeah. So, but yeah, seven. Like I said, 7.5 out of 10. I still enjoy it. I still think it's one of the better DCU movies.
On my
Uh,
ranking, it's gonna be like number 6, just
Number
out of my
6.
top 5. Just out of my
Just
top 5.
okay, yeah. Because I don't know if I ever give my top 5. I think for me, honestly, if I was to do a top 5, Man of Steel, obviously, BVS, Aquaman, Shazam, and I I think this is gonna slide into my top 5. Honestly,
Really, not even a Snyder cut.
no, I
Really? Oh wow. Here's my
no.
top 5. Oh sorry, Man of Steel,
Mm-hmm.
Shazam, BVS, Snyder cut, Shazam 2.
Okay,
Like this is number 6, so it's almost there. If it had been better, like a little bit more and more to it, this would be like tied with Shazam 2. Because there's parts in it like this could have been such a fantastic film, but it's just not there. It's just not there.
the reason why I'm putting it above Snyder Cut is because it's like the the movies I put in my top. These are movies I can go back and rewatch. Like I have no problem. I don't need no extra context. I can just go and watch these, and I'm gonna enjoy them. I can't say the same for Snyder Cut. Like that's a commitment. That's the problem. Snyder Cut is a commitment. Like I have to commit like 4 or so hours to watching it. And even the first time around when me and you had discussed it, that was a lot, bro. Like I shouldn't have to break a movie down in like 2 days to watch it. I can't. Versus, Blue Beetle, Shazam, Aquaman, I can sit down, I can dedicate like 2 or 3 hours, no, like 1 to 2 hours, and it's a straight shot. That's why. Like, I think Snyder Cut is the movie that escapes the top 5 for me. It's not bad, it's not terrible, but it's out the top 5 for me. So Blue Beetle takes that spot. So again, not bad, It's not horrible, but I enjoyed it. I can go back and watch this. Like I can say that with confidence. This is a good popcorn movie if you just want to watch something light, want to watch something, that's family filled and has a lot of heart. I'm for it. But like I said before, I'm I'm wishing Blue Beetle the best, but I'm not holding my breath. I'm really not. Um,
Right. Exactly.
but yeah, but let's talk about the movie that is 100% for sure going to save WB, and that is fucking Barbie. All right, let's same thing, Elvis. Initial thoughts. Initial thoughts.
I loved it. I think it is the it's like if James Gunn had been able to write like a good version of his original Scooby-Doo script. Because I know like everyone's like, oh, James Gunn's original script for Barbie was like rated R and all that kind of stuff. And there's so many ideas in that that sound terrible and probably would have been completely bad. And it was saved by becoming like a PG movie. I agree with those. But Barbie is like, hey, what if we like wrote a coherent version of that that was also good and had stuff that balanced each other.
Yes.
It's really fantastic. I loved it. I went to the theaters. I was physically there to watch it, and I
Hmm.
enjoyed every second of it. I don't regret being in that theater at all. It was worth the watch on a big screen.
Yeah, and it was worth hearing people cough like.
Yeah, no, it was. It was.
For me, I enjoy this movie. And this may sound like I'm, overhyping. It's probably one of the best movies I've seen, in 2023. Um, Again, same thing as like Shazam. It's very simple. It doesn't try to do too much. Visually, it is amazing. The budget was used responsibly. Like this felt like I was immersed into like a whole world. Um, and I just love what they did. And honestly, like the story was it was very bare bones. And I said this to my mom and everybody else who I told this movie about. Yo, it don't matter if you a dude. It don't matter if you a girl. You don't matter if you LG, bro. There is something in this movie for everybody. Like I didn't feel like nothing was too heavy handed. Like it just worked. Like this is just simple at its best. It's simple and fun at its best. And I'm really surprised at how much I enjoyed this. And yes, I also went and I watched this in the movie theater as well. It was worth the money, worth the money. And I don't know, I just had a great fucking time. And like it's been a while since I could say that for a movie. Like I think Margot Robbie was casted well. I thought Ryan Gosling was cast as well. I do have a little bit of a con, but we'll get to that later. But overall, man, like I had fun.
Me
Like
too.
I really had fun. Like I legit had like a smile on my face for most of the movie. And well, let's talk about it a little bit. Like the whole premise was about you just like, you know, Barbie like going into the real world, and then she meets this family, and then we meet the daughter of like the main character, and it's just like a whole adventure from like the real world to Barbie. Like there
It's
was
it's
like a
a it's a very like tired premise, but done really well. Like they like
yes.
there's so many movies that like, what if they went to the real world and like they're all complete shit. But this one's like, hey, let's actually like take care of that. Let's actually do things that would be real. You know,
Mm-hmm.
every time you do like what they went to the real world, it's always like, hey, look, you're saying you're that character. This guy needs to go to the insane asylum. But this one's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, like this was like, hey, like we're going to the real world, and then everyone's like, holy shit, call the FBI, they escaped into the real world, like
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's like okay, we're doing stuff that they're taking this premise in a new direction. It's very creative from the get go. It took something that could have been like an unbearable story, and it actually decided to act, to evolve it, and I
Yeah.
love it.
And you know what I like about it also? It's like they did such a good job with this to the point where like if they even made an animated version of this, I wouldn't be mad. You just keep it could work in live action, but it also works in animation as well. I can easily see this same premise, same everything. You could do it in animation. Like that's how well they handled the story. Um, my only like con, I guess, is like in my head the way they portrayed Ken. is it how is it how my idea of Ken was growing up? And maybe they, they took certain liberties. So that's my only con. Like
That
it
that
didn't feel like Ken too much to me.
I
I don't know how you
agree.
feel.
I agree, but I feel like they, and this is what like Ryan Gosling and Greta Gerwig have been like very kind of upfront about. Is that it's not Ken, it's how people play with Ken. You know, so that made more sense
Oh,
to me in that way. Um, uh, but my only quibbles with Ken as well. I wish there had been more of a closure with him. Like he does get closure, but he is very much like the secondary protagonist with
yeah.
Barbie. So she gets like a little epilogue. I wish Ken had gotten a little epilogue too. It's not necessary because at the end of the day, it is still mainly Barbie's story, even if Ken is like along for that ride and has a very important character arc that ties with Barbie's.
Hmm.
It's still her movie, so like you don't need Ken gets enough, but I
Yeah.
feel like it would have felt more satisfying if he had gone to a tiny bit more to like seeing like maybe like a little seeing where he is now, you know.
Yeah. I don't. I
That's it. That's it. It's a minor nitpick.
Yeah. I didn't mind that he didn't get that. I feel like he had a good. I thought he had like a good story like throughout.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it was just now that you told me there was a reasoning behind it, I can actually understand that. Because again, I didn't play with Ken. I just grew up watching my sister play with like Barbie, so I went into it with that understanding, like how young girls and like that, how they played with Barbie. But I didn't understand it with Ken, so I thought for the entire time like it's just the girls who were buying the Barbie and the Ken, just so they could like, be a couple. So that's what I went to the movie thinking, oh, at the end of the day, it's like Barbie and Ken are gonna be together. But I do like the different spin on because it's like that's what you would expect. But no, it's just more like, okay, I'm Barbie, fighting my own independence. This is how like I want to be portrayed and all that. So I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
No, me neither. But let's see. I've had one other minor thing. It's that they never like they mention a bunch of like real life Barbie merchandise, but the one thing they don't mention is that like Alan is Midge's husband, and that's why she's pregnant. Like they were like a married couple expecting a child together, and like I feel like they get a lot of jokes out of Alan, but and Midge separately. But like it'd been funnier if they like mentioned that they were married, but they never do, and I feel like that's kind of weird that they don't do because they mention a lot. They mention like real life clothing, they mention real life weird controversies, they mention like actual things you can buy right now at stores. It's a very kind of catalog movie, but they don't mention that one thing. Um, which I thought was like missed opportunity for like more laughs, but that's about it.
Oh, I did not know about that. I think that might have. I don't know too much of the Barbie lore there. So if you could explain that to me a little bit, I don't know that part of it.
Well, like so, like Midge and Alan and Barbie and Ken, they're like made as like double date kind of pair. Like, okay, she has a best friend, and he has a
Oh,
best friend,
okay.
and the best friends are dating, so it's like fun. And then like around like 2000 or so, they decide to like have they both got married at this point. Both pairs had gotten married, so they decide to like then give Alan and Midge like a baby, and that's why she's pregnant in the movie. And they have that version of Midge in the movie, but they don't mention at all that that she's Alan's wife or it's Alan's kid. Which I
Oh.
think would have been funnier to like mention that at least once, but they don't. They mention like gay Ken, and they mention like old Ken. They would do all that kind of stuff, but they don't. They don't mention this other thing. So I felt kind of a missed opportunity.
Oh.
I won't say it was they should have, but it was a little bit of a missed opportunity for a joke.
Oh, okay, okay. Um, other things I did enjoy. I'm not big on like musicals. Like I think the last real musical that I watched was like fucking like I don't know, maybe High School Musical or something. I don't know, but I'm not gonna lie. There was like that moment in the movie where they're just like doing like musical segments back to back. Hey, bro, them shit slapped. Them
They're
shit
really good.
slapped, bro.
That musical sequence is it was fantastic and deserves to win Best Original Song of the Oscars.
100%, like the choreography, just like how silly it was, like the rivalry between the Kens.
Yeah, they
I
have a
thought that
they have,
was
they
fucking awesome.
have a dance off. It's so good.
Oh my goodness, it's like honestly, like I could literally like keep gushing like about the movie, but you did mention the ending.
Yeah,
That ending was fucking amazing. I loved what they did there. with the creator of Barbie and like that whole little like montage and about like her just like going out to the real world. That was so well done. Like I wasn't expecting that, but you can tell that they studied the history of Barbie. You know, they took like certain elements and just having her, you know, be the person, you know, to kind of like give Barbie, I don't know, I guess like the rite of passage to go on to real life. That was fucking awesome. And again, a lot of this was new knowledge to me because again, I was fucking playing with Power Rangers. I didn't play with Barbie. But I felt like I got everything I needed to know about Barbie, even though again I had no interest in it as a kid, and I feel like I know this world a little bit better. But I think they took as much as they could about the real world elements of Barbie, and they did such a good job of it. And I fucking love Will Ferrell's character too.
Oh
Like,
my
let's
god,
talk about him.
yeah, people keep on saying like he's one of the worst parts. No, he's fantastic, and people like people are like, oh, why didn't well they should have been more critical of Will Ferrell, but I think Will Ferrell is perfect in his portrayal and his performance because like they made him too sympathetic, they made him too likable. Like, are you insane? The guy
What?
is so clearly a hypocritical, like like self-important, schemy, like opportunistic piece of shit, and that's the joke. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's like saying all this awful stuff hidden behind like business speak,
Mm-hmm.
marketing speak, PR talk, and it's so funny. Every line he says is hilarious. And I love the end where he's like giving like the most generic movie morals and aesop's,
Yeah.
and it's like this is fantastic. I love it. I love it a lot. He was fantastic and so good. Uh, I think I can't think of a single joke in this movie um that did not land. You
Yeah,
know,
no, they were on the ball. Like again, like I said, they studied, like they did their fucking homework, man. And I couldn't be more happier. Like there was another element of it, but I can't forget. I forget because my brain is fucking fried. Um, but yeah, I thought he did a great job. And the other thing too is Will Ferrell's character could have worked better. I think he would have worked even more if it was a cartoon. That's why I liked his performance. That's why I didn't see any issue with it. Because if you just made this into an animated version, it still works.
and
Like
they
I
kind
could
of did,
easily see it.
because like have you ever heard of like Barbie Life in the Dream House?
Yes.
Okay, it's felt I want when they first announced the Barbie movie, I'm like, I really hope it's like Barbie Life in a Dream House, and it kind of is because Barbie Life in a Dream House is like a very self-parody kind of Barbie cartoon, and
Hmm.
it was like a huge hit on like 4chan of all places
Oh,
because
really?
yeah, because it was so like wacky and ridiculous and just self-deprecating, and like like didn't like just like this is at times a little bit less so. It was definitely still aiming toward kids, but like like the good episodes of Teen Titans Go kind of way,
Ah, okay, okay.
Y- and I feel like yes, like this is in it's definitely carried the same spirit, and I think like anyone who likes the bar movie, they'll get a kick out of Life in the Dream House. I think all the episodes are like on YouTube or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Shit, I
They're
think
all like
that.
they're all like 5 or 8 minutes long. They're short.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, this just another A. Like I said, they kind of they sold me on this shit. They sold me. And I got to be honest too, man. The marketing for this movie, like they fucking leaned into it, and I love it. Like, hey, bro, you chose the right fucking actress. Oh, you know what? That's what I meant to say. Yo, I forgot there was some line in the movie that they made about like so I forgot
about
what it
how about
was.
about about she's too hot to do a she's not pretty
Yes.
anymore moral.
Yes. Yes.
It's so good. Like
Oh, that
not
was fucking spot on.
because they really don't do any work to like make her look bad either.
No, fucking start to finish, she's gorgeous. No, but again, it's like little slight jokes like that. Like it's nothing that's too much, but when they put it in, it fucking hits. And yo, I'm gonna be honest, I went into this movie with little to no expectations about how it was gonna perform. I just thought, well, actually, no, I'll take that back. I was one of the first people that said, "Why the fuck are you making a Barbie movie?" I was one of those people. I was. I will be happy to say that I was proven wrong.
Right, me
I
too.
I I'll be happy to say because it this is a movie that landed with everybody. I walked to that movie theater and I seen everybody from every fucking walk of life, every fucking walk of life in there. I saw kids, I saw grown ass adults, men, women, trans, whatever. I saw everybody there, and that is why this movie is killing it in the box office right now. It's something for everybody. Like
Right,
the guys learned a little something. Obviously, the women learned a little something. Everybody learned something, man. And again, it fucking worked. It fucking worked. And hey, even better, I got to see Margot Robbie's feet on the big screen. I got to see it on the big screen, bro. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. I was a happy man. I was a happy, happy, happy man. And this is what fuck it, we're gonna do it. Elvis, we're gonna rate the Tofax, brother. We're gonna do it. No, we're gonna do it.
all right.
But 1 second. Where are you? Right there. All right. So Elvis, this
8.
broke the internet.
8.
8.
8, yeah.
Okay. Okay. 8. All right. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and give him 9, bro. 9.5.
Wow.
9.5. 9.5. 9.5. Dude, the toes are looking legit. And hey, listen, it anything hits better in HD. Everything is better in HD. And this is the second time, bro. Shout out to Margot Robbie because she is not afraid to show them off. Suicide Squad, that's why I gave Suicide Squad a fucking like 8 out of 10, even though realistically it was like probably like a 6 out of 10. But the fact that she was willing to show it, 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. And here, it was probably like I thought this movie was like an 8 going in. This 9.5 out of 10 movie. 9.5 out of 10 movie. Can't complain. And I will be buying the Blu-ray just so I could watch it on the nice TV we got downstairs. Come on, man, it's beautiful, and I'm so happy that they leaned into the marketing with it because the feed game is growing. As we see on Twitter and all the time, it's growing. It's a growing thing, and I'm happy my fetish is being mainstream. And shout out to them for leaning into it. Shout out to them for leaning into it. But I give them a 9 out of 10. Not 9 out of 10. Very well worth it. Um, but just to wrap up, so are they going to do a sequel? Like, is that in the works? I know there was like talks of it, but
I feel like obviously WB wants to, but I don't think Greta Gerwig or Margot Robbie want to at all. And they apparently that their contracts it says they don't need to if they don't want to.
oh really?
Yeah, so they were taking
Oh,
ahead.
okay. You know what? I'm not mad at it because I saw this movie and there was nothing in there that told me there needs to be a sequel. It
No,
felt like it was a good ABC plot. You got what you needed to. What more can you say?
not really anything at all, honestly.
There's nothing you can say outside of this. Like you told the story, you made this crack a billion, if I'm not
Yeah, it
mistaken.
did. It did. Yeah.
Bro, you don't need any more. You don't. And I'm sure it's gonna fucking kill it on digital and Blu-ray. It's gonna kill it. But yeah, I don't want to see a sequel. I don't even want to see a spin-off. I don't want to see a
Yeah.
Barbie universe.
Me either.
Because again, even in that 2 hour or however long this movie was, everybody, whether it was like the side characters or like the characters with or the B characters that got a little bit more shine, I feel like everybody got a proper close to the story.
Right. Exactly. I mean, sometimes that's all you need. And that's what gives things longevity, that they end and that you can revisit from start to finish. Not that you have to like keep going back and back and back.
Yeah, no. So again, I'm happy for everybody involved. I'm happy. Oh, I think we're both happy that we actually risk hearing people coughing to go see this movie. But yeah, I'm excited. And yeah, I really hope WB and all these other movie studios, they take the right lessons from Barbie, because it's like you don't need to do too much. You don't need to like make something super expensive and just try to wow everybody. This is very simple. This is bare bones. Honestly, I'll say this is as bare bones as you can get, and bare bones is not bad. Generic is not bad.
No, they
Simple
aren't.
is not bad. So I hope now people are starting to understand, we don't need like $100 million budget, and then we got to pump it all through this movie only to make back like a fraction of that. No,
Exactly.
take the lessons from Barbie and come out with some heat, man. Come out with some heat. But I think this is a good place to wrap to end off. Unless Elvis, you got like any final thoughts you want to say? Maybe you got some final thoughts about Margot Robbie's feet you want to get off.
No,
Go
I'm
ahead.
good.
But yeah, this is a good place to end off. Thank you guys all for tuning in. And Elvis, I'm about to put your stuff on the screen here, man. Where can they find you at, brother?
All right, they found me on Twitter at THC_SNICKMAN. And you also saw me on Blue Sky. If anyone has Blue Sky, I have Blue Sky now at designateddave.bluesky.whatever that is. So yeah. And also on YouTube at Unsourced Radio. I'm planning on coming back soon, but right now that's fine. Do unboxings, some slight movie and TV show reviews when I have the chance. How about you, bro?
All right. As always, you guys can find me on Roll of a Queen reviews. We are at for 576. Trying to see if I can hit that 600. Before the end of the year is up, but I'm pretty sure I could make it there. And as always, I am on Twitter. I refuse to call it X, where I have I don't know. I've caught some backlash for trolling by saying I watched the recent season of Power Rangers, which I didn't. Obviously, you guys know I'm a troll, and I will continue to be a troll. But yeah, you can find me on those two places. But yeah, hopefully, we should be back next week, and AJ will join us. AJ couldn't make it because he didn't watch any of the movies. He's been very busy with things. But yeah, Elvis, as always, I appreciate you, brother. And this is the Comics Code Authority, and we are out.